chain rule, and the definition of chain rule is identifying all functions one by one and taking the derivative of each function one by one. So for example, on sine of x, the basic derivative is cosine of x. You don't use chain rule with that. And here you have two different terms. So this is where chain rule comes in hand. And what you do is you multiply the derivative of sine, which is cosine, and you bring down the block, and that stays there. You multiply it times that derivative of the block, which makes 2x, and that's the answer for that. And then going down to a more complex problem would be ln natural log of cosine e to the 5x squared power. What you do is you have four different terms: the ln, cosine, the e, and 5x squared. And the derivative of ln would be 1 over the block, whatever is inside, and you multiply that times, you move on, the derivative of cosine, which is negative sine, times the block, and you bring that down also, and then multiply that times the e with the block, we bring that down, and then the derivative of 5x squared is just 10x. And then you bring the 10x to the front and the negative of the sign, and then just this problem is the same thing as all over the 1 to the cosine e to the 5x squared. And sine over cosine is the tangent, and you bring down the e 5x squared, and then this 5e to the x squared, and your final answer would be, then you bring the e to the 5x squared up to the front behind the negative 10x. So your final answer would be negative 10x times e to the x squared times tangent e to the x squared. And then another problem would be 4 to the square root of 2x minus 5 all over 5x plus 2. And here you use power rule, which is which you bring the 4 to the top, which is 1/4 all over 2x minus 5 over 5x plus 2 all over 1/4. And then you use the product rule, which is 1/4 minus 4 over 4, so then, which would equal negative 3 to the 4th. So you bring that down to the product, now there's your product rule. So you get 1/4 times 2x to negative 5 over 5x plus 2 all to negative 3/4, and which I have said before is the block. You multiply times the derivative, which is 2, and then here is when quotient rule comes in hand, which is u prime times v plus uv prime all over v squared. And then this is u and this is v. So you use the u prime, which is the derivative of 2x is 2, times v, which is 5x plus 2, minus u, which is 2x minus 5, times v prime, which is 5x plus 2, all over v, which is 5x plus 2 squared. And then you bring the block down, and this is one of the common errors that people forget, that there is no more solution to this. This just keeps going down. So you bring that down, and then you distribute the 2 to the 5x plus 2 and the 5 to the 2x minus 5, and you get 10x plus 4 minus 10x minus 5 all over 5x plus 2 squared. And then you just distribute the negative to the 10x minus 25, which will then the 10x and this 10x will cancel out, and 4 plus 25 equals 29. So you bring this down and you get 1/4 to the 2x minus 5 all over 5x plus 2 to negative 3/4 times 29, 5x plus 2 squared, and that would be your final answer.